talk about minimalism, in a way we're talking about mindfulness. Want to know how these two concepts inform each other and help you live a more peaceful life? Stay tuned. I'm Dara. I help people live a more minimalist lifestyle so they can focus on what matters most without getting overwhelmed along the way. If you'd like to live a more peaceful life, stay tuned for more videos like this one. Mindfulness is a foundational aspect of a minimalist lifestyle. Incorporating mindfulness into your life is one of the easiest ways to bring minimalism into your home. In this video, we'll summarize what mindfulness is, then we'll talk about how mindfulness influences minimalism, and then how minimalism influences mindfulness. Mindfulness is sort of a general term encompassing different sorts of practices and perspectives. Mindfulness, in the way I practice it, is really about just taking a moment to pause and noticing what's going on. And the key, especially for me, is to do this without any judgment. So it's just stopping and acknowledging what's going on, but not doing so much analysis in the moment. In other words, mindfulness is simply awareness. It's generally just focus and attention on the present moment, and that's the key. It's on the present moment. It allows us to see what's really going on now and not to the future or to the past where our mind is taking us. This really summarizes how we get so lost in our thoughts and what's going on around us that we really kind of forget who we are and what is actually really happening. If this isn't something you already practice, you probably want to know, are there any other benefits aside from, how it influences minimalism? Some benefits include reduced ruminations, better working memory, focus, less emotional reactivity, reduced stress, and honestly, you just feel more peaceful and less overwhelmed. But you might be thinking, okay, I've heard about mindfulness, I'm interested, I do some things, but do I have to meditate every day for an hour? Is that what mindfulness is? And the truth is, it's not. Meditation is like a tool, sort of like how riding your bike is a tool. It's not the only way to exercise. It's a great way, just like running and lifting weights, but they're not the only ways. So meditation is great, but you can also do guided meditations if sitting in silence is tough for you. You don't have to get into the, hour a day routine. You could do it a couple times a week for a shorter period. You can do a walking meditation. Just walk around very, very slowly. You can walk in nature. Another tool is even just doing a body scan. Just sitting, preferably in silence, but just feeling every inch of your body. Just going through it from the top of your head, paying attention all the way down to your toes. Another one is to do breath work. There's so many different types of breath work, but they help you, again, connect to the present moment, and you're just focused on you. What a wonderful thing. And there are some other practices. You've probably heard of yoga or qigong or tai chi. These are all practices that help us slow down, connect to our bodies. And if you don't like the idea of sitting and you want a little bit more movement, these are really great alternatives. And having these mindfulness tools help us make mindfulness seem less general and less elusive. It's not really a concrete thing. So having a tool to put into place kind of brings us toward mindfulness through an action. And really they're helping kind of train our mind. So the more you do these practices, the more your mind has adjusted to a new way of thinking and being with your body. Okay, so you're at home, it's overstuffed, it's disorganized. That probably means you haven't been living a very mindful life. You might have some mindfulness in your life, but you probably wouldn't have gotten to that point if you used mindfulness to help with your possessions and your lifestyle. If you're able to slow down with mindfulness and be really present, instead of shutting off how you feel about all that stuff around you, suffocating you in a way, you can see it for what it really is. You're able to dig deeper into some other layers that if you are not mindful, if you're not present, you're just going to overlook, you're just going to put it out into the future, when really this is about your life today. You're probably telling stories about the stuff that you have, why you need it, why you can't go through it. Maybe some guilt and shame is underneath all of that. So mindfulness gives us an opportunity to move past the stories and get real with yourself. So then if you're present with your space, you can actually be present with each and every item in your home. Then you can determine if it has a purpose in your life, a compelling purpose, and then have a little bit of mental space to then make a decision about what to do with it and follow through with that decision. And in that space, you're able to make space. It will be easier with mindfulness to bring minimalism into your life because they really are the same thing. So ask yourself these questions. What is it that you most need? What provides you the greatest inspiration? What makes you the most joyful? So yes, to answer these questions, you have to take a moment to sit, to pause, and really be with yourself. When we don't live in the past or worry senselessly about the future, when we hold ourselves accountable to the present, our possessions quickly whittle down. And yes, after we've made a lot of these decisions, we're going to double check with our analytical brain, making sure we're not messing anything up for our future. But we're first starting from a place of mindfulness, and then we can always double check our assumptions. Mindfulness doesn't mean that you're not being practical. In fact, I would say it's actually the more practical and honest way of being. And it's funny because if you go through this process, you'll find that the purpose of all of this isn't minimalism. The purpose is actually mindfulness, and they just connect so well together. We need to edit out what doesn't add meaning to our lives. And mindfulness can help us develop our North Star to find out exactly what that is. A minimalist lifestyle gives us clarity as much as it gives us space. It gives us back some of our time. Having these things, the clarity of the time, gives us even more of an opportunity to practice mindfulness. It's kind of strange. The way it happens is that sometimes minimalism, both in our homes and our lifestyles, in its way of emptying out things, gives us an almost momentary feeling of emptiness. And in that space, in that empty space that it gives us, we have an even greater opportunity to be mindful. Where does that empty feeling come from? What used to shield us from that discomfort? There's a reason, there are multiple reasons why we had so much stuff. And some of it was probably to protect ourselves from having to be in an empty space where we have to confront things. Think about it. In your minimalist practice, what is or was the hardest thing to say goodbye to? Investigations like that, prompted by our journey toward minimalism, gives us an opportunity to be even more mindful. Even from the most practical standpoint, minimalism may just allow us to carve out a space in our home. Not that you have to have one, but if you downsize, you'll have an area in your home that you can dedicate to your mindfulness practice. It could be a reading chair that doesn't have anything on it, so you can actually use it. It could be a space for meditation or to do some sort of yoga or other movement practice. It could even be a space for your art if that is something that brings you toward the present moment. So minimalism actually gives us back time and physical space that we can use to continue building our mindfulness practice. Whether or not you've already incorporated mindfulness or minimalism into your life, these two practices together, working in concert, constantly influencing each other, can produce much greater results than they could on their own. So next time you're staring down your pile of stuff and stuck in decision fatigue, take a moment to be aware, to be mindful of how you really feel, how you're really experiencing the moment, and any of that deeper stuff that you've been avoiding. That's the key to living more minimalist lifestyle with ease. For more information about minimalism and how it can make your life easier, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when a new video releases.